As we invite His Excellency Honorable CS Dr. Stephen Kalonzo to make his keynote address and officially open this convention. Thank you very much.
Would you please be seated? Once again, a very good morning from us. I'm sure there are people here I'm seeing today that may not have seen on the basis of one close proximity. Before I make this written presentation, allow me to introduce one or two other guys who are not introduced. I think it's just been mentioned. Thank you for accompanying me, member for the Broadcasting Board. I think it is good that these members of parliament get to hear about good governance. And Senator Agua, I think this is your line of duty. County public service boards really do, in my view, fall under the purview of what the Senate does. It's a young, exciting lady there, an ICT expert. She teaches ICT abroad out of the country in South Africa. Her name is Nora Osibori. Either EC or from Dagoretti, one of those two. Okay. She's chairman, allow me. This thing called politicians. When you use the word politician, you're actually accepting the use of bad governance. So I would rather we settle for political leaders. Think about it. Because everywhere you go, you hear politicians and Kenyans are used. It's already enshrined in their own psyche. Allow me to think of it that way. That politicians are seen as corrupt and therefore the epitome of bad governance. But when you talk of political leaders, I think you give them some safe landing. That's it. And now CS, fellow FCS is fellow certified secretary. This young friend of mine here, when my good friend, learned friend, the Amwangi will speak, and I will not leave here until I hear him. Allow me just to hear him. He will have gone very far. I must also introduce a friend who is also accompanying me, one or two others actually. His name is Zachary Nyambane. He is a chairman of Abagusi Professionals and Business Trust. So you're in the right place to hear about good governance. And one I should not mention, but I must mention, because it controls my daily life from a political party point of view. He's the executive director of WIPA, Bwana Wamutura himself, the other team. Allow me to confess that the gentleman who was sent by Dr. Muteti to look for me is called Bishop Chagua. He's sitting out there. I say he's a very good friend of mine. Come a long way, comes from the end of the world in Kambani. I'm so disappointed that my own county, what is it? My home county is Kitui. I would have liked to see the chairperson of the county public service, but I'm sure this matter will be communicated to the county service board. But be that as it may, I beg of you think down there, enjoying the lake view. That is Kenya Kwanza administration. You see them, tell them I greeted. We are one nation, one people. And I hope they're also taking time to think of good governance, because that is our problem. Therefore, ICS Chairman, FCS Joshua Boa, MBS, Moran or something, Moran, and then County Public Service Board Chairperson, we've seen some of you, of course members of the Institute itself, Chief Executive Officer Jeremiah Karanja, members of the County Public Service Boards, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Kenyans have become a boring lot. You know, there's nothing written anywhere. And I am a practitioner in diplomacy. Somebody in Kenya started saying, because he could not name everybody, and then they say, all protocols are. There's no such thing. But the guys who wrote my speech have said, all protocols are. It's actually a very annoying thing to say. And it is contrary to good governance. If you don't want to mention people, don't mention them. That's okay. As a member of the Institute of Certified Secretaries, I have a great honor and deep feeling of responsibility to open this County Governance Convention this year. This gathering provides an opportunity for us to think, collaborate, and map a route for better government in our counties and across our nation. As we gather here, it is our duty to recognize the vital role that county governments, county assemblies, and county public service boards play in the governance of the county governments. Within the devolved entities, you all act as a main point of contact for services provided to the ordinary Mwananchi, directly influencing the quality of service delivery to our citizens. It is common knowledge that county public service boards, which are appointed by the executive and approved by the county assembly, wield a considerable power over hiring, promoting, and disciplining employees at the county public service level. The County Governments Act number 17 of 2012, which specifies your duty under sections 49 to 86, highlights the critical role you play in maintaining the principles of meritocracy, accountability, and openness in our public institutions. It is crucial to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that county government representatives, whether in the executive, county assembly, or county public service boards, function within a precarious autonomy framework. Where there is a requirement for independence in decision-making, county government officials, especially CPBSs, must manage the executive expectations as well as the county assembly's examination of devolved unit governance. Therefore, while we attempt to investigate ways of reaching this balance, the theme of this convention, quote-unquote, professionalism and good governance in a political context, is appropriate. To maintain this balance, county government officials must be unwaveringly committed to corporate governance principles and follow established procedures and standards. Moreover, the duties assigned to the CPSPSs are extensive and include several facets. In fact, county public service boards have a significant impact on how our county public service develops, from human resource management to the creation of HR policies and strategic planning, from hiring and promoting staff to assessing performance management systems. As we discuss the problems and possibilities that our county governments face, let us reaffirm our shared commitment to preserving the highest ethical standards and advancing good governance practices. We must guarantee that our officers have the appropriate tools, resources, and assistance to be able to carry out their responsibilities successfully and transparently. Furthermore, the national government must ensure that counties have appropriate and timely resources to carry out their tasks efficiently. From the time of its establishment in 2013, county public service boards have been essential to several accomplishments. There were many obstacles to overcome when the first county government was established in 2013, and it is important to honor and remember the men and women who worked in county public service boards during that period because they were instrumental in its creation. Notwithstanding these achievements, there are still certain problems that need to be resolved and improved for both the national government and county administrations. Every aspect of our society is impacted by the knock-on effects of bad governance, which range from election malpractice to the weakening of institutional autonomy. Widespread accusations of corruption, resource mismanagement, and discriminatory employment practices exposed in recent publications cast a pall over the values of openness, responsibility, and justice that ought to guide our public institutions. Numerous independent organizations, including the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions have conducted investigations that have uncovered systemic issues that require our nation's immediate attention. Furthermore, the conclusions drawn by the Controller of Budget and the Auditor General emphasize the necessity of taking immediate measures to protect our resources and rebuild the public's lost faith. There are several questions and that demand replies, ladies and gentlemen. What ails our counties? Is there professional scarcity in our counties? Is there a lack of governance mechanisms, procedures, and tools to carry out the required governance functions? Are there insufficient deterrents, penalties, or repercussions in place? What must we do to rescue what remains and save the situation? Earlier this month, the Public Service Commission, which is now the umbrella body, and I really do agree with the presentation that it looks like there was a serious omission when we were doing our Constitution 2010 and dealing with the issue of devolution. We should not just have stopped at the county public service board level. There should be an umbrella body, and I'm going to comment on that in line with what I think. But again, PSC itself filed a report on falsifying academic credentials to the EACC. And the NSIC, I mentioned those acronyms because I mentioned their full titles, like NCIC, National Cohesion. According to the report, 1,280 of the 53,000, now of the 53,599 instances that were referred to the Kenya National Examinations Council had their certificates confirmed to be fake, and further verification is anticipated to raise this figure. What does that tell us about our country and about governance? Another example is the NCIC 2023 audit report, which reviews concerning patterns in employment diversity among Kenya's 47 counties. Only 10 tribes account for nearly 80% of county employment, while 29 other tribes, called them communities, account for just 1% of county work prospects. According to the research, the number of counties complying with national recruitment standards has decreased from 21 in 2016 to just 13 as of 2022. the Constitution's values of inclusion and equality are undermined by the persistent disregard for the County Governments Act provision requiring the allocation of positions among varied communities, particularly taking into account minority communities within the counties. But so that you do not think I'm loading it over you, it's even worse at the national level. The fact that we have competitive national elections does not mean that the following 2 or 3 months as you form government, whoever forms government, has to disregard the constitutional values of inclusivity. And therefore, it's even worse when it comes to hiring members of our defense forces. As a practicing CS, let me tell you, be open with you, friends, that if you mess up with the composition of a country's national defense forces, you have created a problem that will be impossible to cure, particularly in our region. Australia has been involved in trying to help our countries in the neighborhood to get life back on course. As we speak, there's a huge conflict in the DRC, itself a recent member of the East African community. I'm told that the city of Goma may fall, it may not fall. It has a lot to do with the country's ability to guard its borders. I can tell you that I'm particularly perturbed the recent efforts at employing Kenyans who go out there, wanatolewa nguo, wanatoa shati, wanakimbia, and only to discover recruitment has happened in Nairobi. And kule kwa villages, there's nothing. And parents are there. That you want your child to become a member of the KDF, you have to part with 700,000 Kenyan shillings. That is how bad things are. Bad governance. Even at that level. Chairman, what are you going to do as a profession? I know you may be concentrating on corporate governance. The biggest corporation, an employer, is a national government. But when it comes to defense of a country, you need everybody to be included. This has been the practice since the days of the First Republic under Mzee Kenyatta, up to and including when we were there in Mzee Kibaki. We never want to say so many Kalenjins should join the army, so many Kikuyu, so many Kambas. But unfortunately, and I want to challenge you, this is now the problem with our defense forces. I believe our counties are not exceptional. County public service boards are equivalent, of course, to public service commission at county level. And I encourage county public service boards to cascade this and conduct verification in their respective counties. I'm referring here to the falsification of academic papers. I urge all of you to conduct due diligence during hiring, appointments, and promotions to prevent this from happening again, as I try to weed out personnel with fraudulent documents at the county level as well. Although issues such as political interference and favoritism continue to contribute to non-compliance, our counties require honesty, and county public service boards should play a major role in instilling strong governance practices in our counties. Ladies and gentlemen, even while the National Cohesion and Integration Commission promises to address these disparities, county public service boards play a critical role in ensuring equitable hiring practices across our delegated activities. Continuing in the spirit of problem solving, one option to consider is the adoption of incentives to reward and promote excellent leadership and ethical standards. And as chair, I want to very strongly commend that there be awards in that direction, where you celebrate meritocracy, achievement, in good governance and be able to scare away mediocrity. Conversely, we must also consider enhancing punitive measures to dissuade and penalize individuals who engage in corrupt behavior or misuse their own authority. In addition to regularly providing thought leadership through various publications that educate members and the general public on the most recent governance trends and requirements, ICS has already taken action by creating a platform for the celebration of exemplary governance through the Champions of Governance Awards. I'm already actually lagging behind the board because you're already on top of it. Additionally, ICS has provided training to institutions on sound governance practices such as this convention. I don't know whether you earn any points at the end of it. I am a member of the Law Society of Kenya and also at good standing, and now I'm exempt on account of age. You hit 65, you do not have to catch up with earning those points. I hope I can get civil exemption. But let me pause to remind you that you bear enormous obligations on behalf of Kenyans. You must not take your responsibilities lightly. As professionals, particularly governors, it is incumbent on us and on you to play an effective role in ensuring the presence of robust governance frameworks in our respective counties in order to promote accountability and transparency across all involved activities. It is worth mentioning that as an institution, the ICS has done excellent work in defining governance standards to guarantee uniformity and consistency of governance practice, including in our county public service boards. Governance professionals, such as ICS members, must take the lead in pushing these efforts. I think we make this request that the code of governance for the county government be created by the Institute of Certified Secretaries. This will establish best practices and standards for governance. Ladies and gentlemen, when we consider the difficulties and opportunities that lie ahead, remember that the goal of strengthening governance is more than just policy or legislation. It is a moral necessity that speaks to the very essence of our country. Once again, I would like to thank the ICS and the County Public Service Board's Executive Committee for hosting this convention, which demonstrates your dedication to advancing good governance practices in our counties and in our nation. Before I make my concluding remark, allow me to deal with the issue that Dr. Moteta raised, and that is creating the apex body. Understand that it was advised that if you were to go back to the Senate, to the National Assembly, and be able to cause a necessary amendment to the Act, the Constitution, like the Mother Act, it will take time. But sure, this is such an important thing, an omission in our devolution agenda. And I want to suggest that it be addressed. You may have noticed that I was co-chairing the National Dialogue Committee, whose report hopefully will be presented this afternoon in the National Assembly. And I hope it will also probably end up in the Senate. And some of these issues about meritocracy were actually canvassed before that committee. Therefore, I would want to urge, because we just do that under Society's Act, it doesn't give you the weight. And just as I was preparing to come to talk to you, last night I thought, wow, I swore twice to observe what the Constitution provides. Twice as Vice President. Actually swore twice. So twice. Once when I was appointed, the 10th Vice President, and then when the greatest achievement so far, which has even given rise to your sitting here today, was Constitution 2010, which late President Kibaki inaugurated. Then we all again had to be sworn in at Uhuru Park. Now, we should never be afraid of upholding the highest standards of performance. And now, you get confused by politicians. And because now, as it is, county public service boards have to defer to the county governments, to the county governors, the governors themselves. If the governor is unhappy with you as county public service boards, you end up trembling. You don't even feel, am I talking to somebody? If that is not the practice, you're the lucky ones. So what do you do? Because that in itself is a matter that needs to be addressed. It's a governance issue. What level of autonomy do county public service boards enjoy? And do you have to sit there until maybe the governor comes up and says, you know, there are opportunities that need, there are vacancies that to be filled, and until the governor writes to give you a list, you are not able to act on your own volition. And you know the gaps. You know the gaps, and you sit there. So to some extent, I find that the county public service boards may be idle. And yet, there's a lot in them. The Public Service Commission, whose chairman is Ambassador Muchiri, with a lot of respect, appeared before us and argued that the level of suicides has gone up within the Public Service Commission because of the high cost of living. Any Kenyan today with a patient is feeling it. Maybe you guys look so serious, you don't feel the pain that other Kenyans are feeling. We heard this from the chairman of the Public Service Commission, who had the audacity to say it as it is. And you know, when we sat at the end of the day, we tried to conclude on the agenda item number 1 and the National Dialogue Committee, high cost of living, we could not understand. We could not even agree. And I'm quite sure Kenya Kwanza Coalition meeting here in Naivasha are themselves feeling it, but they don't want to say it. They don't want to say it because the chief executive tells them, you must toe the line. I got you elected. I got you elected. I'm not introducing politics to this forum, but the political context, Chair. Because you're operating within a political context. And if we're in this country, we must be open with each other. Call a spade, not a big spoon. You are professionals. I'm quite sure joining membership of County Public Service Board is not just a thing, a favor done to you. And I pray to God that none of you falls in the category of persons with falsified documents. Because then you will have a problem even before you begin. So that is the context within which we meet this morning in this magnificent facility. I think one of our best. I only came here once, I think some 2-3 years ago, and I brought our friends from South Sudan to try and agree between themselves. President Salva Kiir and his, that time Dr. Naivasha had not agreed to be the second time first vice president. They agreed here. It's a beautiful place. And I think it's sort of a very good example of, you know, enhancing our own domestic tourism. Much as a country will rely on arrivals from Germany, and William Ruto has even declared this country visa-free. So watch out for others who may come from very difficult destinations to come to our country. But Kenyans themselves must of necessity do what you're doing. I hope I can create a facility like this in Mwingi, and then you can come to the other end of the country. Or go to Kirinyaga. Or Embu. You go to Embu, you'll end up at Aisha Bolton, very old facility. which means refurbishment. But let's do this everywhere. But as you do, when you go back to your stations, make a difference. Make a pitch for good governance. Believe you me, we are all in the same boat as Kenyans. Whether we are Kenya Kwanza or Azimio, we are in the same boat. And don't you over-rely and make political leaders, now I'm using the right term, political leaders to confuse you, end up hating some political leaders because you don't know what they will do tomorrow. They will meet like advocates and lawyers, have a cup of coffee, and forget they were fighting each other to death just the other day. And this, I think, is a spirit. At that level, absolute good governance, where Kenyans can get together when everybody thinks we're in the brink, we pick our pieces and put our country together again, and on a pedestal that is development oriented. Since I said I must listen to my learned brother, Kinuthia Mwangi, I must attempt to conclude. My appeal to you, therefore, today is to rekindle our passion for our unshakable commitment to the pursuit of excellence in governance for the benefit of our counties and our country, and of course, for future generations. Let us work together to create a future in which our public institutions are known for their integrity, accountability, and service to the people. It has often been said that corruption has been devolved. That is my challenge to you. Are you then going to oversee situations where corruption is devolved to the county level? And what does that mean to professions as dignified and as honorable as the Institute of Certified Secretaries? Therefore, my pleasure to declare this convention officially open, and wish all of you a few days of deliberations. I thank you.
Yes, we may be seated, please. Thank you. Your Excellency, ICS, Dr. Kalonzo, honorable members, Senator, members of the Consultative Forum, various county boards that are represented here by board chairs and members, Chairman, ICS, and my fellow council members. It is my duty, but it really is more of a pleasure to pass a vote of thanks on behalf of the Institute to our chief guest for gracing us with his presence and for such a powerful keynote address. Your Excellency, you have mentioned key points in your address. You have highlighted the role of county boards in promoting various functions in the county and the impact that this role has. We've all heard the work that these counties do is really important. It has an impact on members of the public, on society in general. You've also highlighted some challenges, and some of these are related to governance, and we will be discussing them in the next few days. We will be trying to see how we can answer the questions and the challenge that you have posed to us. What must we do to salvage this situation? you have called on each one of us. We all have to be included. And it will please you, Your Excellency, to know, when we were setting expectations, many members here want to know how they can infuse professionalism in the work that they do, how they can remain independent. So your address really resonates with what we will be doing here in the next few days. So we thank you, and we invite you to stay with us, not just for that next presentation, but for the full conference. You're invited, and we'll be happy to have you. So thank you very much. Let us clap and give him a very hearty appreciation. So I'll now call on my chairman to come and join me here so that we can appreciate our guest. I also invite my fellow council members and members of the consultative forum. Please come so that we can appreciate our guest.
Yes, we will give you a chance, just a minute. So the members of the National Consultative Forum and the council members and also our honorable members of parliament kindly join here. We want to give this, we want to give this to our chief guest. I'm also told there are two for the members of parliament.
Your Excellency, I wish to confirm there is nothing inside. Actually, from the Institute point of view, this is a mere insignia. It bears the name of the Institute. Nothing new. I can carry a few books, and since I suspect that your children are above carrying books, the grandchildren, I am sure, can do very well with this. Yes. And so, on behalf of this gathering, I wish to present this one to you.
What a demonstration of openness and governance. Oh, I wish there was something in there. But on the other hand, I want to tell my brother he's given me his contribution, his written presentation, because these members must actually leave now to attend the afternoon session. I realize you have taken a lot of your own time, but this is all very good. I'll catch up with Kinugi on Wangi. I know how to. Thank you so much.
As a way of recruiting these honorable members into the profession, we want to give them bags to carry boots when they register for the exams.
There's nothing inside. That one, you always know what is inside.
Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. That was a very outstanding presentation. And because you have both Senate and National Assembly represented here, a crisis has been disclosed here. The independence of county public service boards. As a crisis, I pointed this out to the Senate in 2017 when I was invited. I was already out of the transition authority. I would have done it if I was in transition authority. Now, the county assemblies had the same problem. And the lady Magero came to me as national chairman of transition authority. And I engaged Senate, I engaged the controller of budget, and we had a vote created for the county assemblies. We no longer depended on the government for goodwill. for now, this National County Service Public Boards, I've been thinking about for the last so many years. And I think it now falls on Senate, particularly, to move a motion. Because if in the County Public Service, in the Intergovernmental Relations Act, we have Council of Governors already incorporated and institutionalized as a body, why can't we have National County Public Service Board, where these boards are answerable to, they are appointed by that body, and not appointed by government, and they are answerable to that. Right now, if a public servant is, if somebody in the county government feel aggrieved, they are going to Public Service Commission. Why? They should apply to that board. So before you go, I would request you can put it in your presidential manifesto. Ask Senate here to bring a motion, and Sergeant, these boards must be independent. Let my teacher.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Before you leave, these delegates here want a photo with you. So we have organized a group photo, so we request you allow